Hello everyone, welcome to the daily newspaper analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 8th March 2025. Displayed here are the list of articles that we will be discussing today. The first article, United States exits from UN Climate Damage Fund. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express. So in this topic, we will be discussing what is this United Nations Loss and Damage Fund and why how this exit of the United States will impact the collective action against the climate change. The next is US butterfly population declined by 22%. So a recent study in the United States found that there is a 22% decline of butterfly population since 2000. So in this topic, we will be discussing the basic facts about the butterfly, different species of butterfly found in India, and what are the reasons behind the declining population. And this article is also taken from the newspaper Indian Express. The third article, it is talking about a state scheme for the empowerment of the women, that is Ladki Bahin Yojana, which was launched by the state of Maharashtra, and we will be discussing the basic facts and the features about the scheme, and then we will also discuss some of the similar schemes taken in the national level for the empowerment of the women. And this article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. And the next article, Supreme Court lists Pegasus case for hearing on April 22nd. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. We know that Pegasus, the spyware, it has created a political controversy in India, right? And now the Supreme Court has listed this case to hear on April 22nd. So in this background, we will be discussing the basic facts about the spyware Pegasus. So without much delay, let's get into our discussion with the first article. Before getting into the discussion, the Shankar IAS Academy's Prefit 2025 test series will be, the third batch will be starting on March 10th. So do register and take the test and challenge yourself and clear the prelims. US exits United Nations Climate Damage Fund meant for poor nations. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express. The USA has withdrawn from the board of the recently created Loss and Damage Fund, which is meant to provide financial support to the countries ravaged by climate change disasters. And we know that the Loss and Damage Fund was created in the COP27 climate meeting in Egypt in the year 2022. We know that the climate change is the biggest challenge, and it's a global challenge. Therefore, it needs a collective effort in the international level to address this challenge and to find solutions. And if you look the reasons behind the current climate challenge, it can be traced back to the 18th century. That means since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And nations like the Great Britain, France, United States, they are the biggest, contribution, and they are the biggest emitters. And now the United States and the superpower since the fall of the Soviet Union has withdrawn from the Loss and Damage Fund, and this has sparked a discussion in the international scenario. So let us discuss more about the article from the prelims point of view. So Loss and Damage Fund, it was established in the COP27 in the year 2022, which was held in the Egypt. And what is the COP? To understand the COP, you have to travel back to the 1992, where the Earth Summit happened. It was held in the Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and this Earth Summit resulted into the establishment of UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And the COP, it is the highest decision-making body of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And the first COP was held in the year 1995 in Germany. And since then, the COPs happened, and in every COP, a lot of significant agreements were, concluded to address the challenge of the climate change. The milestone agreements were the Kyoto Protocol of 1997. But this had a limitation that this gave more responsibility to the developed nations. And that's why many developed nations, including China and the United States, did not agree with the Kyoto Protocol. And finally, in 2015, another milestone step was taken, that was the Paris Agreement. And the concept of the nationally determined contribution came in this Paris Agreement. And as per this, to address the climate change, a fund of $100 billion will be collected, every year. And now the United States, the superpower of this multipolar world, has withdrawn from this Loss and Damage Fund, has brought another crisis to address the challenge of this climate change. So what is the purpose of this Loss and Damage Fund? We saw that the Loss and Damage Fund was established in the COP27 in the year 2022. What is the purpose? To provide financial assistance to the vulnerable and developing nations. We know that even though the United States, Great Britain, and the other European nations are the biggest emitters in the past, but the impact is affecting everyone. And the island nations and small nations and the developing nations are at the biggest risk of this climate change. The underdeveloped nations, they will be affected socially and economically because of the climate change. And the small island nations, they will be affected due to the many reasons like the rising sea level and other disasters induced by this climate change. For example, recently the Vanuatu, a nation from Southern Pacific, they stood for the the fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty in the COP29, which was held in the Azerbaijan's capital Baku. And after a few months, Vanuatu was affected by a cyclone. And the target of this loss and damage fund, you can see it addresses irreversible climate change impacts like sea level rise, extreme weather events, and also desertification. And the key concept of this loss and damage fund is to provide compensation for unavoidable climate change. So therefore, it addresses both recovery as well as reconstruction. So why this loss and damage fund is important? First of all, it provides financial assistance to the developing and underdeveloped nations and small nations to help them reconstruct from climate disasters like cyclone, flood, and drought. And the next is it ensures the climate justice. We know that historically, you can see that the developed nations are the biggest emitters and they are the biggest contributors to this climate change. Therefore, they are also providing fund to this loss and damage fund. Therefore, it ensures the climate justice in addressing, the climate change through giving more responsibility to the developed nations. And next, it is bridging the gaps. That means it is focusing not only adaptation and mitigation, but it also focuses on destruction. That means they provide fund for recovery or reconstruction of the nations followed by a disaster. And the next is it provides economic relief. For example, if a nation has no fund for reconstruction, then they have to apply for loan. Then that will eventually, brings debt trap. But these type of efforts or weapons or instruments in the international level provide grants or concession of finance, therefore saves such developing nations and small nations from debt trap. And finally, ensures global trust. That is, it is strengthening the Paris Agreement principles and also ensures participation between the developed nations and developing nations. And what is the contribution of United States in this loss and damage fund? Initially, the various nations pledged to bring an amount of $750 million, and out of this, the United States contributed only $17.5 million, which is a small fraction actually. And now the United States is withdrawing, and how it is going to affect? See, it can affect in two ways. First of all, it will reduce the contribution to this loss and damage fund. The next is, when United States, they are the, anyway, they are the biggest superpower of this multipolar world. So what happens is that if USA is not ready to take the responsibility, it has a potential to make other nations discourage from taking efforts to address the problem of climate change. For example, the nations in South Africa or the nations in Europe, they will ask that the United States are not concerned about the climate change, then why should we have to take the responsibility? So a leader is needed, and now the United States is withdrawing. That will also bring a vacuum in addressing the problem of climate change among the nations. So what will be the implications of US withdrawal? First of all, the financial impact. That means it has a potential to reduce the funding to this loss and damage fund, and also weakens cooperation. Like I mentioned, it has the withdrawal of this United States may discourage other nations, and also affects the confidence between the nations. And the next is climate injustice. That means reinforcing the climate injustice. We know that the USA, the Great Britain, France, other nations, the developed nations in the Europe, they are the biggest emitters historically. But now if they are not ready to take the responsibility, then again there will be an injustice in addressing the climate change, and also it may spark a conflict between the north and the south. And the next is diplomatic strain. That means the withdrawal of the United States from the efforts can also strain the diplomatic relation between the United Nations and small nations and island nations. And the next is leadership shift. That is, when United States is not ready to take the responsibility, then definitely there will be a vacuum, and maybe in future the European Union or China may lead the steps to address the problem of climate change. And now we are going to see a prelims practice question based on a discussion. So in this topic we discussed the loss and damage fund, right? So and what will be the implication of the US withdrawal also. So based on our discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, the loss and damage fund primarily aims to, option A, provide loans to developing nations for vulnerable energy projects. Option B, offer financial assistance to countries experiencing climate-related disasters. And option C, promote carbon trading between developed nations and developing nations. Option D, fund climate research and technical advancements in developed nations. See, the correct answer is option B. It offers financial assistance to the countries ravaged by climate-induced disasters or the climate disasters caused due to this climate change. So the correct answer is option D. Yes, the correct answer is option B. With this, we will move to the next article. US butterfly population declined by 22% since 2000. Fine study. A new study found that the Americas butterflies are disappearing because of insecticides, climate change and habitat loss, with the number of winged beauties down to 22% since 2000. If you take the ecosystem, even a microorganism has its own functional role. A disappearance of a small organism can bring big impact on that ecosystem. For example, the decline in the bee population can bring down the production of apple. Can you believe? Yes, but it actually happens. On the other side, the ecosystem has interconnected role. For example, the Sahara Desert. What we'll be seeing in the Sahara Desert? Dunes of sands. But the Sahara Desert in Africa has a great role in preserving the Amazon forest in another continent of South America. Yes, the Sahara Desert will provide nutrition to Amazon forest. So every organism has its own role. Every ecosystem has its own role in protecting another ecosystem. Therefore, let us discuss more about the butterflies. Because of the decline of these butterflies, the scientific community is expecting an ecological instability in the United States. So coming to the butterfly classification, they are classified under the kingdom Animalia because they are eukaryotic and multicellular organism. And in the phylum, they belongs to the phylum Arthropoda because they also have segmented body, which means they have a head, middle part and abdomen, and they also has exoskeleton. And they belongs to the class Insecta because they have similar features to other insects like multiple legs, compounded eyes, and 2 or more pair of wings. And the next is they belongs to the order Lepidoptera, which means the word Lepidoptera comes from Greek word which means scaled wings. So here you can see butterfly, they have a very beautiful scaled wings. And the creatures belongs to this order also has another feature, that is metamorphism throughout their life. For example, if you take the case of butterfly, initially they will be eggs and then they will become caterpillar or larva, and that will be feeding on leaves and hangs upside down on the leaves. And the next stage it will become pupa, and after that it will become adult butterfly, a very beautiful creature on this planet. So some of the important species of butterflies that we are going to see, these are the species that we can see in India. First is Caesara Hind. So the scientific name is Stenopalpalus imperialis, and they are found in the northeastern part of India, and it is recognized as the state butterfly of Arunachal Pradesh. And the next is Malabar banded peacock, and the scientific name is Papilio buddha, and it is endemic to the Western Ghats. So the color is blue, and here the Caesara Hind, the color is brown plus green. And the next species is southern birdwing, and the scientific name is Troidus minus, and this is found in the Western Ghats, especially in the states of Karnataka and Kerala, and it is recognized as the state butterfly of Karnataka. And the next species is blue mormon, and the scientific name of this species is Papilio polyminester, and it is found in the states of Maharashtra and other regions of Western Ghats, and it is the state butterfly of Maharashtra. And coming to the important findings that we are seeing in the newspaper, that is the butterfly decline, that is nearly 12.6 butterflies are counted annually through 76,957 surveys under 35 programs, and the studies found that there is an annual decline of 1.3%. And the next is the monarch butterfly crisis. That is, the annual survey found that now the monarch butterfly population is less than 10,000 in the year 2024. But in the year 1997, the population was 1.2 million. And now the United States listed this butterfly species as threatened. And the next is catastrophic decline. That is, the study has found nearly 40% plus decline in some species of butterflies, and a loss of 50% plus insects in the last 30 to 40 years. So these studies are showing that there is something wrong, or there is some sort of ecosystem instability is persisting in the environment of United States. That may be due to the habitat loss or the use of pesticides or due to the climate change. So we have to find. So coming to the ecological significance of this butterflies, first is it acts as a pollinator. That means it transfers the pollen grains from one plant to another plant. And the next is it plays an important role in the food chain. For example, the larva is used as a food for bird, reptile and other insects. And the next is climate regulation. So the butterflies will support the growth of the plants through acting as a pollinator. Therefore, it supports the increasing the population of flora. Therefore, it will provide it will act as a part of carbon sequestration and also ensures soil stability. And the next is why soil stability. The increase in the number of flora will make the vegetation and that region more stronger and make them less vulnerable to problems like erosion and degradation. And the next is environmental health. It acts as an indicator of the environmental health. For example, if the butterfly population or any other species is declining rapidly in a particular region, which means there is something wrong in that region. And the next is it acts as an accelerator in the nutrition cycle. For example, the caterpillar breaks down the plants, which accelerates the nutrition cycle. And the next is cultural and economic significance. The butterfly species, sometimes if it is endemic to a particular region, then we can promote tourism and also plays an important role in farming because of the they act as a pollinator, and also it helps in climate regulation and also accelerates the nutrition cycle, and also it provides a report on the environmental health through acting as an indicator. And coming to the causes of the decline of this butterfly population, first is habitat loss. So it is a general cause actually. It is a cause behind the decline of all type of population. This habitat loss mostly happens due to the rapid urbanization or expansion of agriculture or for the deforestation for industrial purpose. And the next is the use of pesticides. So the use of pesticides and herbicides for agriculture purpose can rapidly decline the butterfly population. And the next is climate change. That means for every species there is an ideal temperature, there is an ideal rate of precipitation, there is an ideal rate of humidity and all. Therefore, if there is some sort of imbalance in this in these factors, then that will contribute to the decline of a particular species. For example, recently we saw that the creatures in the sea, they are coming to the land, which means there is some sort of instability in the water bodies. And there are a lot of rumors on the social media that it is an indicator that the mythological creature Leviathan is coming out of the sea. No, actually it is not. These are just rumors, but that is indicating that some sort of instability is persisting inside the water. And the next is the invasive species. That means the native vegetations. The next is the invasive species. Invasive species has a potential to create an imbalance in an ecosystem. For example, the rapid spread of a non-native plant can alter the vegetation in a region, which will make that region unsuitable for the the butterfly population. So in this topic we discussed the facts about butterflies. So let us discuss a prelims practice question based on our topic. The question is, with reference to the butterflies, consider the following statements. Statement 1, butterflies belongs to the order Lepidoptera, which also includes moth. And statement 2, the blue mormon is Maharashtra state butterfly, is endemic to the Western Ghats. And statement 3, butterflies plays a crucial role in pollination and serves as an indicator of environmental health. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only. Option B, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 1 and 3 only. And option D, 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is option D, 1, 2 and 3. All the statements are correct. They belongs to this order, and we discussed what is the major feature of this order Lepidoptera, which means they will have a scaled wing, right? They will have the creatures belongs to this order will have scaled wings, and at the same time they will go through metamorphism throughout their life. For in the case of butterfly, eggs, then larva, from larva to pupa, and then pupa to adult butterfly, right? And the blue mormon, it is a state butterfly of Maharashtra, and it is endemic to Western Ghats because we cannot see the species in any other part of India. And the next is the butterflies plays a crucial role in pollination and act as an indicator of environmental health. Yes, they transfer the pollen grains, therefore they plays a very important role in pollination. And the decline of this butterfly population is indicating some sort of instability in the ecosystem. Therefore, all the three statements are correct. And with this, we will move to the next article. Supreme Court lists Pegasus case for hearing on April 22nd. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. We know that Pegasus, a software which sparked political controversy in India, and now the Supreme Court has listed the case for April 22nd for hearing. So in this background, let us discuss more about the software Pegasus from prelims point of view. So what is meant by Pegasus spyware? It is an advanced mobile surveillance spyware developed by the Israel Security Organization or Israel Cyber Intelligence NSO group, and it is marketed to different governments to to take measures against terrorism and other crimes which affects the nation's integrity and the sovereignty. And it has raised a lot of concerns like unauthorized surveillance of journalists, opposition parties, and the people, and which is against the principles of a democratic nation. And how this Pegasus works. So it is a zero-click infection, which means there is no need for users interaction. That is, you don't have to download it. It can be installed in your mobile phone, and it exploits the applications like WhatsApp, iMessage, FaceTime, and all. And it can leverage zero-day vulnerabilities, which means these are the vulnerabilities which are yet to be fixed by the manufacturers, and this spyware has a potential to exploit those vulnerabilities. And it mainly targets so systems like Apple and Android devices. We know that Apple is it's a company which provides highest level of security and privacy to the users, but still this software Pegasus can attack the Apple also. And who are the primary targets of this Pegasus? First is journalists, because we know that the source of information are always journalists. So through attacking the journalist, we can compromise the source of information. And the next is activists and lawyers who are standing for the justice in the society can be affected. And the next is opposition leaders to suppress them politically. And the next is head of the states. This can increase the fear of espionage risk. And the next is the countries accused of this Pegasus virus is Saudi Arabia, Mexico, India, Hungary, Azerbaijan, and Rwanda. Coming to the major cyber threats posed by this spyware, first it is a malicious software which can harm or exploit the vulnerabilities in a system. And the next is phishing. Next is phishing, which means fraudulent information acquisition by a third party. And the next is ransomware. That means, so it is a system which can encrypt the data transmitted from one system to another system, and also can make ransom demands. So this is eventually affecting the data integrity. And the next is denial of the service attack, which means this virus or this spyware has a capacity to create a traffic in the system, which will eventually leads to the overloading of the system and delays the function. And the next is man in the middle. That is, a third person will be interrupting the communication between two parties, and this is creating tensions about the security in a nation, or it is affecting the privacy also. So in this topic we discussed the spyware Pegasus. So based on our discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, which cyber threat involves overwhelming a system with excessive traffic to cause disruption? The answer is option C, DDoS attack, that is denial of the service attack. And yes, the correct answer is also option C. And we know the system, that means it creates traffic in the system, therefore the system will overload and eventually delays the function. And the Pegasus has a potential to do this. So with this, we will move to the next article. Coming to the next article, Ladki Bahin Yojana, rupees 17,500 crore disbursed to 2.38 crore women. The article is taken from the newspaper, The Hindu. The Maharashtra government disbursed rupees 17,500 crore to 2.38 crore women under the Majhi Ladki Bahin Yojana till December 2024, and this was stated in the economic survey tabled in the state assembly on Friday. And in this background, let us discuss more about this scheme, and we will be also discussing some of the similar scheme and other initiatives taken in the national level for the empowerment of the women. And we know that today it is International Women Day, and therefore this article is special. So Mukhyamantri Majhi Ladki Bahin Yojana, it is a state scheme implemented in the state of Maharashtra, and that was launched in June 2024 to provide financial assistance to the women, and an amount of rupees 1,500 will be distributed to each woman through their bank accounts, and the target age group is the women and the girls between the age of 21 to 65. And the purpose is to provide economic rehabilitation, empowerment of the women, and also to secure the socio-economic well-being. So coming to the objectives, first is financial security, that is empowering the weaker sections. And the next is promoting self-reliance. So it is an initiative to the to ensure the self-reliance of women, because rupees 1,500 will be provided through their bank account, and that too a direct transfer. And the next is socio-economic rehabilitation, improved health and nutrition for women and their children. So these are the major objectives of the scheme. So coming to the features, we already discussed 1,500 will be distributed to each woman through direct bank transfer. That means they don't have to go through any formalities. If they have bank account, they will receive the amount from the government, and the target 21 to 65 years, and a budget of nearly 17,500 crore was disbursed according to the economic survey tabled in the Maharashtra State Legislative Assembly, and nearly 2.38 crore women got benefits from the scheme. And you can see that as per the economic survey, the gender budget was just 20,391 crore in the financial year 2023-2024, but now it is increased, and we know that it is a need of the time. Now it is 21 crore 951, and now it is 21,951 crore in the financial year 2024-2025, and it was introduced before the State Legislative Assembly in January 2024. So some of the similar schemes in the national level for the women empowerment. First, we have the Pradhan Mantri Madru Vandan Yojana, which is launched with an objective to secure nutrition to pregnant and lactating women. A benefit of rupees 5,000 will be given in 3 installments before and after the pregnancy. And lactating mother and pregnant women are the targets we already mentioned, and this scheme is implemented by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. And the next is the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme, and this was launched with an objective to prevent female foeticide, improve sex ratio, and also to educate the women, to empower the literacy. And the next is the features of the scheme. It provides scholarship and awareness campaigns which aims to reduce the female foeticide and also to address the importance of healthy sex ratio. And we know that if you go to certain states, especially the backward states and all, the sex ratio will be the female sex ratio will be very less, and which is indicating that the preference of the society is going for male children, or there some sort of social evils like infanticide, female foeticide, or something is happening. And it is even today also it is persisting in certain remote areas in within our country. And the next is coming to the implementation. It is implemented nationwide. And the next we have the Mahila Samman Savings certificate, and this was launched with an objective to provide financial independence to the women, and they can earn up to 7.5% interest in their savings up to 2 lakh for 2 years. And the eligibility, all women are eligible for the scheme, and it is launched by the Ministry of Finance. And we have to note that whenever there is a scheme, government scheme, the ministry is very important. Which ministry is implementing the scheme, it is very important. Whether the scheme is central sector or centrally sponsored, that is very important. So not all these points. And the next is Mahila E-Hath, and this is a digital platform to promote the female entrepreneurs to sell their products online and ensure their visibility of their products, and empower enhance their market access. These are the primary objectives of this scheme. And the next is it is implemented by the Ministry of Women and the Child Development. So in this topic we discussed the state scheme of Maharashtra for the women empowerment, and then we also discussed some of the similar national schemes for the empowerment of the women. So based on our discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, which ministry implements the Pradhan Mantri Madru Vandan Yojana? It's a factual question, and we know that the answer is Ministry of Women and the Child Development. Yes, the correct answer is option B. So with this, we will move to the next article. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's newspaper analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. See you again.